March 9, 1945, 11:56 p.m. Tokyo, Honshu Island, Japan. The sky is low and heavy. Clouds hang like wet cloth. Then the sound arrives. A deep, rolling hum. It grows fast. Windows begin to shake. Dogs howl. Searchlights stab upward. White beams cutting through smoke and mist. Sirens scream across the city. High above, dark shapes slide through the night. Not fast. Not rushed. Calm. Confident. The bomb bay doors open. Fire falls. Incendiaries burst across rooftops. Wooden houses ignite in seconds. Wind feeds the flames. Streets turn into tunnels of fire. People run, then stop, then vanish in smoke. Japanese anti-aircraft guns open up. Tracers claw the sky. Most fall short. The bombers are too high, too steady. Fighter pilots scramble in the dark. Engines roar. Climb rates strain. Oxygen masks bite into faces. They search for shapes they can barely see. Above them, the bombers keep coming. One wave, then another, then another. This is not a raid. It is a system, a machine that returns night after night. And this moment is only the beginning of a much larger story. If you want more stories like this, make sure to subscribe, like, and share. The Boeing B-29 Superfortress did not appear by chance. It was born from fear and distance. After Pearl Harbor, the United States faced a hard truth. Japan was far away. Too far for existing bombers to reach and return with heavy loads. In 1940, the U.S. Army Air Forces demanded something new. A bomber that could fly over 3,000 miles. A bomber that could carry 10 tons of bombs. A bomber that could fly higher than enemy fighters. Boeing answered with the B-29. It was massive. Wingspan of 141 feet. 4 Wright 3,350 engines. Each engine produced over 2,200 horsepower. Cruise speed near 220 miles per hour. Top speed over 350 miles per hour. The aircraft introduced pressurized crew compartments. Gunners controlled weapons remotely. The bomb load could reach 20,000 pounds on shorter missions. Defensive armament included up to 12.50 caliber machine guns and a 20mm cannon in early versions. Strategically, the goal was simple. Break Japan's ability to fight, destroy factories, burn cities that produced war material inside homes and small workshops. General Henry Arnold pushed the program hard. General Curtis LeMay would later shape its use. Bases were built in China first, then in the Mariana Islands, Saipan, Tinian, Guam. These islands placed Japan within range. The B-29 was not just a bomber. It was an industrial weapon. A flying factory built to deliver destruction at a scale is the seen before. Early use of the B-29 was rough. Crews called it unreliable. Engines overheated. Fires broke out during climb. Some aircraft never reached the enemy. Training accidents were common. In 1943 and early 1944, dozens of aircraft were lost before combat. One report noted, "Engine failure remains the primary hazard." Another crewman wrote, "She scares you on takeoff more than over the target." Early missions from China struggled. Fuel and bombs had to be flown over the Himalayas. Loss rates climbed, maintenance hours were extreme. One flight hour could require over 100 hours of ground work. Tactics were wrong. Bombing from high altitude in daylight failed over Japan. Jet streamlines scattered bombs. Crews missed targets by miles. Japanese defenses learned patterns. Fighters attacked from above and head-on. Japanese pilots initially mocked the bomber. They called it slow and large. Some reports described it as easy to see, hard to miss. Early intercepts damaged several aircraft. By mid-1944, losses worried commanders. Results disappointed planners. Many questioned whether the B-29 was worth its cost. Each aircraft cost over $600,000 at the time. But failure forced learning, and learning changed everything. The shift came with new thinking. Curtis LeMay took command in the Pacific. He studied weather data, wind patterns, bomb damage reports. He made a bold decision: bomb at night, fly low, strip defensive guns to reduce weight, increase bomb loads, use fire instead of high explosives. At night, Japanese radar struggled. Fighters lacked night training. Anti-aircraft fire lost accuracy. At lower altitude, the jet stream no longer scattered bombs. The B-29 strengths became clear. Range allowed repeated strikes. Payload overwhelmed defenses. Reliability improved as crews gained experience. Flying at 5,000 to 9,000 feet, bomb loads reached 16,000 pounds. Incendiary spread fire across tightly packed cities. One aircraft could ignite dozens of blocks. Navigation improved with radar bombing. Formation flying became flexible. Crews operated with discipline and calm. Japanese intercepts dropped sharply. Many fighters could not climb fast enough at night. Others ran out of fuel searching the dark. What once seemed fragile now felt unstoppable. The bomber had found its role, and Japan had found its nightmare. The first great test came on March 9, 1945, Operation Meeting House. 334 B-29s took off from the Marianas. They flew alone, spaced apart, with a favored fire. Winds were strong. Over Tokyo, Pathfinder aircraft dropped markers. Then the fire began. Within hours, over 16 square miles burned. An estimated 80,000 to 100,000 people died. Japanese defenses were overwhelmed. Only 14 B-29s were lost. One Japanese pilot later recalled, "The sky was full of flame. There was nothing to fight." Another encounter unfolded over Nagoya in April 1945. Around 250 bombers targeted aircraft factories. Smoke from previous raids choked the city. Night fighters attempted interception. Radar guidance failed. Pilots reported losing targets in cloud and smoke. A single Ki-45 fighter closed on a bomber. The gunner saw nothing until tracers flashed past the cockpit. The bomber descended slightly. Defensive fire answered. The fighter broke away. Factories burned. Production halted 4 weeks. Losses again favored the attackers. The third story came in July 1945. Osaka, Kobe. Smaller raids, constant pressure. Crews described routine fear. You stop thinking about dying. You think about fuel, heading, time. Japanese civilians watched the sky every night. Some nights nothing came. Other nights the hum returned. By this stage, resistance felt symbolic. Guns fired out of habit. Fighters rose and turned back. The bombers completed their runs and left behind firestorms. The outcome was no longer in doubt. Only the end date remained unknown. Behind the raids stood massive industry. Over 3,900 B-29s were built. Production peaked in 1944. Thousands of mechanics supported each group. Fuel consumption was enormous. A single mission could burn over 100,000 gallons. Bomb factories worked non-stop. Training improved fast. Crews rotated. Lessons spread. Loss rates dropped. Japan could not match this scale. Aircraft production declined under bombing. Fuel shortages grounded fighters. Pilot training hours fell below 100 hours for many replacements. By mid-1945, U.S. bombers flew thousands of sorties monthly. Japanese defenses thinned. The imbalance became total. The fear spread quickly. Japanese pilots wrote about it. Civilians whispered about it. They called the bombers silver ghosts at night. Others called them fire bringers. One diary noted, "The engines never stop. Even when they leave, the sound stays." Morale collapsed. Sleep disappeared. Factories moved underground, but still burned. The constant return mattered more than single raids. It broke routine. It broke hope. Late in the war, the B-29 evolved again. Radar improved. Electronic countermeasures reduced interception. Crews grew confident. Missions became shorter. Losses remained low. Then came a final role: atomic delivery. The aircraft could carry weapons no other bomber could lift. By August 1945, the B-29 stood unmatched. In total, B-29s dropped over 160,000 tons of bombs on Japan. They destroyed hundreds of square miles of urban area. Losses were significant, but acceptable by strategic standards. What began as doubt ended as dominance. A Japanese veteran later said, "We could fight, men. We could not fight the sky." The B-29 proved that control of air and industry could decide a war long before armies met on the ground.